All right, hello everybody. I'm Mike Savage, and this is our sixth and last episode of the Open Mic podcast for the campaign, at least. And we got a couple of special guests today who've come in. We're going to talk a little bit about COVID and small business and the impact on small business and how you get through something like this when you're not a huge, giant company. So really happy to have Cathy with us. Cathy Akinkunmi.
Yes.
Nice to see you. And your company is now called Beautiful Linens. It's just called Beautiful
Celebrations now.
Celebrations, indeed. Yeah. So on Agricola Street.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And from one of the first families of Nova Scotia, one of Nova Scotia's most distinguished families, the Flinns of Chester. We have Dan Flinn, who now is the proprietor of the very well-known and really sought-after place in Halifax, the Bike and Bean. And thank you for coming in, Dan.
No problem.
Yeah, appreciate it. Do you want to start us off, Cathy? Just tell us a bit about your business.
Yes. Beautiful Celebrations, what we do, I've been in business about 9 years now. And what we do primarily is weddings. So we do wedding decor. I do wedding setup with my crew, and we also do rental. So you can come in and rent all the stuff for your wedding. You can set it up and bring it back. And also we also get to do the setup and take them. Primarily weddings, but I've been working on and doing a few other things, bridal show, baby shower, and stuff like that. And I do a few corporates also every year.
Now, it hasn't been a very big year for weddings, I assume. A lot of weddings have been canceled or pushed out to next year.
Pretty much about maybe, let's say 80%.
Yeah.
We're pushed to next year, yeah.
And do you have other folks that work with you in the business?
Yes, so I do have, I have casuals. We're pretty much mainly seasonal. So I do have casuals that are almost regular casuals that come in and during the wedding season. And I do have casuals throughout the year that come in and just
help out as needed.
Yes,
Yeah, awesome. Danny, tell us about the Bike and Bean for those that don't know about it.
Well, we're out on the St. Margaret's Bay Highway, out in Upper Tantallon, Nova Scotia. I've owned it for about 5 years now, but it's been established for about 15. We are a full-service bike shop and cafe right on the rails to trails. And St. Margaret's Bay Trail Association is a big supporter of our spot, but they also call it the Rum Runners Trail, which goes from Halifax to Lunenburg.
Mm-hmm. That's quite a trail.
It's a great trail.
Yeah. And you've had it for 5 years, you said?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So talk a little bit about COVID and the impact that's obviously it's had a big impact, when you're shut down for a while and then you reduce capacity and all the uncertainty. Tell us a bit about how COVID has impacted the business.
Well, COVID kind of hit me right between the eyes back March 13th. And what it was is that I had a great year planned, put a lot of time and effort into 2020. And then the carpet got pulled out right from underneath me and I landed on my face. It all worked out, though, somewhat. But you're basically, every day seems to be a new day, and every day you're trying to recalibrate and trying to figure things out, which takes a lot of energy and a lot of extra time. But luckily I had the bike shop. Biking ended up taking a little bit of a spike this year. A lot of people started riding, being outside, being healthy, trying to get away from people, trying to find an alternate. Mm-hmm. But the cafe kind of took a little bit of a nosedive. Nobody really wanted to come inside. We opened up a takeout window, which kind of was a little bit of a bonus that helped me out quite a bit. And it's not been the best at the cafe, but it's been probably better than I have to say I've been fairly thankful and lucky. I feel that everything's not too bad. You got to work through whatever you got and make the best of it.
And who works with you out at the Bike and Bean? You have other folks that work with you?
I do. I've got probably during the summer we probably have about 10 staff. I've got really right now I probably have about 7 staff at this point. We'll be reducing in hours in the next little while, but we try to stay open all year round.
So when you said March 13, and that's just about the date, right? I mean,
yeah.
I remember for me the impact of COVID first hit when I heard that the Irish places in town, the Triangle and Nelly's and stuff, weren't going to open on March 17th, which is their busiest day of the year. And that's when people started thinking, wow, this is a big deal. So is that when it hit you? It was like March 13th, you realized something was going on?
Well, you got the phone call, listening to the news, listening to stuff that was going on, and all of a sudden I just thought that this was just going to get blown over and it wasn't that big of a deal. But then all of a sudden, staff started calling in and saying, I'm not comfortable about coming in, I don't have this, and then we had to start figuring things out. It was just really a day-by-day, hour-by-hour type of a scenario. And then next thing you know, the province and everybody decided that we have to shut down and you're not allowed as many people on the inside. And then it was like, oh, okay. So, I mean, I'm not sure about everybody else, but it just felt like a dream.
Yeah, unreal. So you had to actually close down completely?
No, what we ended up doing was closing down a little tiny bit. I would close the cafe down, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I would open up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if the weather was good. Yep. Because it was an outdoor window that so if it's raining, there's no sense in being open. And luckily I had two wonderful staff that wanted to stay on. And I just worked the bike shop on my own, and I was open almost 7 days a week. But I wasn't that busy at the beginning, and it just kind of flourished.
Yeah, yeah. So Cathy, for you, do you remember when did you first realize, holy cow, this is going to have a big impact on my business?
Oh yeah, well, once the uncertainty starts and it's just looking bad in all over the world, and clients started calling in and just emailing and saying, well, I have a lot of people coming from out of province or out of country. This is not going to happen. Can we switch dates? And then they will go back to their venue, the banquet hall, and start switching dates. And then we were just doing a lot of date switch. But then when everything closed down, we had to close down. We were not essential services. So I was really closed down from middle of March all the way till June when we reopened. Yeah, but I was just emailing clients all through because they would just keep checking in, And then we had a few corporates that we, like events that we do, and those were like end of March, April, May, and those were of course completely canceled.
Yeah. Yes. So for a lot of people with COVID, the impact was, I have to work from home, or I'm not going to work at all, whatever. With a business, you've got to think about, holy cow, how do I pay my rent? What do I do with my staff? That sort of stuff. It must be quite a stress on the mind.
It was really stressful in the beginning when we didn't know what kind of help assistance we were going to get. It was really hard because you have rent, you have utility, but then, things started funneling down. We got CESRA, and then we got all this other help. So, yes, at least you started having a feeling that maybe I'm going to pull through this. Yeah.
Were you able to access any of the government programs? Which programs were helpful?
Yes, I got my landlord is the most awesome person in the whole wide world. So I did get the CESRA, I got the bridge, and the credit union, and
so you had good support, you feel, from some of your suppliers and the people that you do business with?
Yes, so I have a lot of my website, my SEO, a lot of vendors that I work with were able to pretty much just hold stuff, right? They, things were held, Eastlink held, security, phone, and stuff like that. So a lot of things were held, yeah.
I think we all know people who had planned to get married this year that have put it off. I assume they're still going to get married. Hopefully COVID didn't ruin relationships, but for you, that would have been a pretty big impact, I would assume, on the business. People would start to call up and say, look, we're not going to do it this year, and some would, but how did that roll out for you?
It was like a lot of scheduling, rescheduling. But then when the restrictions started lifting, we would get brides or couples that were going to do 150 guests at the banquet hall. I said, well, I'll just go do 50. And that time was mainly they were doing outdoor weddings. They were doing the restaurant and just, off the path kind of venues normally, unlike, when we do banquet halls. So they will do 24 guests backyard. Yeah, stuff like that. So I was able to quickly mobilize and make, because when there's backyard, you have to supply everything, like tables, chairs, plates, everything, right? So luckily enough, I do have all of those. So, and I have a cargo van, so I was able to pretty much just be the one vendor they needed for all of the decor and the tablewares. So I was able to pick up a lot of last minute small weddings too. For whatever reason, people just call and say, we get married. 20, 30 people, their backyard or their family, their mom's backyard, their dad's backyard. So, so we did a few of those, but most of our big wedding is rescheduled for next summer. So
next year will be busy for you, probably?
Hopefully it will be, busy. The only challenge I see is like if a wedding is rescheduled for a Saturday in a banquet hall, that Saturday is taken, right?
Yeah.
So you wonder, those folks that were going to get married next year, will they get married on a Sunday or on a Friday, or will they just move it up? So we don't know that yet.
Yeah, and I think, there are a number of businesses, certainly the hotels that lost events, they're generally pretty busy already, so you can't make up some of that unless you, as you said, instead of doing it on a Saturday, maybe do it on a Friday night or a Sunday, I guess. And
Hopefully.
And then you'll have busy weekends next summer, probably.
Yeah, hopefully they will make up. They will, people will be open to Fridays, Sundays.
Did you, Danny? Did you use the government programs that were available in the business?
Yeah. CERT for myself as a independent owner trying to make a few bucks. So I had to use that. I got the $40,000 loan. I've got the banks were helpful with because I own the building, so that kind of.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah.
That helped me with my mortgage. Wage subsidy was okay, and then when they actually brought in so the wage subsidy was good, and then my numbers weren't as bad, but they still were. But they could you took a percentage of the amount instead of taking the full. Yeah. So there was a lot of good things. I don't think I could have gotten to as far without having some of those helps. I hope that it doesn't hurt the country, but it helped me.
Well, I think it certainly seems to me that this was a point in time where people recognized that there was a role for government, and things were moving so quickly. You remember originally the wage subsidy was 10%, and then all of a sudden it was 75%. Right. There was a recognition. We don't have this happen very often. And so, I mean, it does seem like those, and your own suppliers, the bank and stuff like that, were there for you?
They were there. All my suppliers were helpful as well. I said, listen, I'm not sure what's going on. I panicked right at the beginning. I basically canceled a bunch of orders, which I wish I didn't do, but I did. Because I was worried that I wasn't going to have a sale through, because I just figured everybody wasn't going to have any cash. Yeah. But they were helpful. They helped me with my payments. They said, no, we can push this off for you, no interest. But then, as soon as I could get some cash in, I wanted to pay them off, because I didn't really want to have a big lump sum of cash at a certain point that I'd have to owe.
Yeah.
So it's just a juggling match. It's one of those things.
You mentioned that the bike side, people got on their bikes, and I think a lot of us did more walking and in some cases cycling than we've ever done before. It was funny when, first of all, we were walking in our neighborhoods, and then we were able to get back out. And you saw that impact in terms of bikes, eh?
I did. There's a lot of people. I couldn't count how many old jalopy bikes were dropped off at my shop to get repaired. Some just needed a little bit of love, and some needed love and a little extra. Yeah. But they wanted to get out and give it a try. And
you do that yourself, some of that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know you did that. I thought you had high-paid people doing those bikes for you.
Well, it's a small business. You got to do what you got to do.
Do you cycle yourself?
I do. Yeah. I love it.
Now, do you live up in Fairmont area?
Up in the Fairmont area.
So you can get on the Chain Lakes Trail and
I can be out at my shop in an hour and 5 minutes.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
At a very easy pace. 25.4 kilometers along the rails to trails.
That's a great trail.
It is.
That is a great trail. So, big challenges. I mean, this is your own business, and you're every day you're taking a risk, and so something like this comes on you, and it sounds like both of you have scrambled to do what you can do. What do you see for the future? How do you see? Do you see good things ahead for the business?
Personally, for me, yes, because this has it's made me like reflect and really like rethink my business plan, and just really dive down and say, what can I do? How can I pivot, right? So I've been able to pivot with a lot of stuffs, offer new stuffs, and that's going quite well now. That is kind of an eye-opener that, well, maybe I can do this on a bigger scale. So I have an incubation and another business plan for my e-commerce side of the business. That way, I think the way now is to be able to sell online, whatever you do, So working on that so that just in case another wave, we never know. Yeah.
So the COVID's been tough, but it's made you stronger, you think, as a business?
It's made you think very well. It's made you diversify, and I hope that with all the things I have in the pipeline, I hope like I'll come at the end of the, and I'll be able to say that that it worked for me in that way. Yeah. That's
good. Yeah. Hope it does. Danny, how about you? What have you learned through COVID? What kind of things have you?
You can't be. You gotta be able to pivot at a moment's notice and try to figure things out. Do I know what I'm gonna do next year? Stick with what I got going on, but things have got to change a little bit. Do I know what that is? I don't really know. I've been trying to figure that one out myself. Limitations are, with the building and the area, but they also are a bonus at the same time. So you have to work with what you got. And I've got a few ideas in my head, what I could probably try to do, but it's going to be a challenge. I'm not sure what's going to happen come. Really now, November, weather getting colder, going to be losing some of the biking side of things. People are still not as comfortable about going inside, all of my outdoor stuff is not there as much, So we'll just see how it goes.
Now, your business on the restaurant side, on the cafe side, are you reduced in capacity? I mean, I've been out there a number of times. It's kind of separate rooms and everything. Are you able to still go in?
I had to take a bunch of stuff out of there. So I took all the comfy chairs out of there because they're cloth, so they're not very COVID friendly. I had to take a couple of tables out because I had to look around and see, okay. But again, I only have small little rooms, so I was reduced less than 50%, or more than 50%. So it's one of those things. You got to have a good product, which I feel I do. You got to have good staff, which I think I do. You got to have a good draw. And there's a lot of good companies, and there's a lot of good surrounding support. Like we've got Delish Fine Foods, which is out there, which brings people in. We've got Kavicki's Meats that brings people in. So there's more than just me now out there. So there's a lot of other people out there. So you got to get a community of things.
So I was going to go to that, and because I was out last week to St. Margaret's Bay Area, and we went to the Enterprise Center. We went up and down on bay rides. There is kind of quite an ecosystem in that area. And did you find good support from other businesses and that community overall?
Yeah, we all try to help each other out. We all try to talk to each other, and if we try not to compete against each other about that kind of stuff. From what I see, and I think it's been pretty good, successful. Yeah. But we all know that the trail needs to be supported by HRM. And by the province. That is a big support, a big draw. We also need, infrastructure out in that area. It's a good spot. It seems to be a summer, but it could be more of a winter area out there.
Yeah. Cathy, you're on Agricola Street.
Yes.
And so there's other businesses around you that would have been affected by COVID. Did you find that people helped each other out through this time in general?
I almost can say that the North End is the most supportive community. I just moved to Agricola in December. So already, when it was time to reopen in June, I collaborated with the North End Business Association to offer biodegradable balloon to, I think I ended up doing 30 businesses in 2 days, just to show that they're open. So, from there, I get to know a lot of the business owners, talk to them, and even after we opening, some businesses are open later on. They requested doors also for their opening, and people still ask me now if they wanted, biodegradable balloons for openings and stuff like that. I have tremendous support with a lot of the business there. I mean, we always share stuff, social media pages and specials, and the North End Business Association has been absolutely amazing. I can't ask for a better association, really. The support has been awesome.
That's awesome.
A lot of the businesses that are around me are just unbelievably supportive, really.
If you had a message to government, let's say to the Prime Minister or the Premier or the Mayor or any order of government, what would be helpful in dealing with COVID that wasn't there this time or isn't there yet? Because we're not finished with it yet, contrary to what President Trump says. We're not done yet. What message would you have? What's missing?
Well, just to be very reactive. In the beginning, I knew it's new to everybody, but in the beginning it was really scary until all the programs started rolling, and then there was the feedback and there was the advocacy. I noticed now that they said that businesses will apply for the CESRA themselves, just for some landlords did not participate. So I still know some businesses that didn't get to use that, and that's major. Just be very reactive. I'm sure feedback is coming, but just what can I say to just be closer to the grassroots to react quicker? Because a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week can be a difference between a business shuttering completely, and a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks might be really too late for
too
some.
Much, yeah.
Yes, for some. Yeah.
So people don't think of what the municipal government can do. So we tried to figure out right away what can we do. So making patios free and doing some traffic calming in the streets, closing streets and things like that is what we were trying to do. But it hurts, for example, restaurants and bars downtown when the offices are empty during the day and there's nobody there to buy lunch, to go out and get lunch. So there's some things you can do and you have to adjust. Danny, you mentioned taking care of the trails as a thing that is important. What other things would you say from a governmental point of view that could do to help, particularly during something like COVID?
The biggest thing that I see is basically looking at, all right, so basically we're in an Atlantic bubble right now. So it's like government's got to pivot as well as like we have to do and say, all right, we don't have to go and advertise outside of this bubble. Let's do whatever we can in this area just to let people know if you're going to take a little bit of time and you want to take a little relaxation, then this is not a bad place to come. So there's a lot of people. We had a lot of people from Cape Breton. We had a lot of people from Yarmouth. We had a lot. It was nice to see. But yeah, that's basically what I see. The province has done a pretty good job. Municipality has done a pretty good job. But it's just basically it's communication and letting people aware that what's going on and being a little proactive. I know that there's some areas that you just don't want to say anything because it might not be that way. But everybody is apprehensive and they're all looking for government to basically step up and kind of give them an idea of what's going on. So that they don't have to no one has to make a rash decision quickly. And that's
one of the things that is becoming apparent is that the way that we've handled COVID here in Nova Scotia, a lot of businesses are suffering, but generally we've handled it in a way that I think is going to make people want to live in Nova Scotia more because of how safe it is. We hear that even during COVID, 10 new companies came to Halifax to open up business, which is a good thing. What's your sense overall about your business going forward? Do you feel good about it? Are you more nervous than excited? What's your sense, Danny? Let's go with you.
I can't lie. I'm still a little nervous. But we'll just see. That's all I can do, Hopefully with some of the ideas that I got coming forth and see what we can pull off, that it's gonna work out fine. We've got a great neighborhood out there in Upper Tantallon, and I've got everybody's supportive, and that's what everybody needs to be doing. It's buy local, use local, do whatever you can. And much as I understand the buying online, it's nice to see people wanting to come on out and buy from local businesses.
Well, one good thing I think is that in a roundabout way, is that there won't be a lot of people going down to Florida this winter. They're going to have to buy stuff here, buy local, support local for sure. Cathy, what's your sense going forward for the business? Looking ahead, are you optimistic about things?
Well, I'm hopeful, but then it really depends on what happens. Do we have a second wave? What happens? Like, nobody knows, right? You can just stay hopeful and just keep working on your PV plan and just keep doing all there. Yeah.
Not a lot of weddings in the wintertime, is there?
Not a lot at all. And we do normally a lot of corporate, which those corporates are
corporate
not,
events.
Yeah. But
No, I got married in the winter, but I don't know why.
Well, now
wasn't asked about it.
I do
just
like
did
baby shower. I mean, that doesn't wait, and anniversary and things that are more, smaller events that birthdays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those ones just they happen indoor.
Well, look, I thank you both for coming in to have a chat in our last podcast of this campaign. I really appreciate the time, and I wish you all the very best. You've both got good businesses. The Bike and Bean is known all over the globe, Danny, as the place to go, and I think you've done really well with your business, and we appreciate the fact that you're here, and we wish you the best going forward. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for having us.
And everybody out there, get out and vote if you haven't already. That's podcast over and out. Thank you. From BNV Studios in beautiful Halifax.